Hello everybody and welcome back to Strategy Games Thaddeus, where today we will be continuing the series that makes me very, very, very uncomfortable. Victoria 2, A to Z. Now this series is quite the undertaking. I did not think it would be this big when I first took it on, because I've spent like several weeks and we've only played 4 countries. But today we get to play Belgium, which isn't that bad. Belgium is actually a lot of fun in Victoria 2. Next week we have to play Chile, which, that's gonna be awful, I think. See, the nice thing about starting in Europe is that you start with 48% literacy, which basically allows you to do whatever you want to do. But I did switch up the mod that we are playing today. We are currently playing GFM, and the reason we're playing GFM is because HPM, the traditional mod that we play for this series, doesn't have any events for Belgium. But this version has a bunch of events that are actually kind of fun. So we are doing this now. The Belgian economy at the start of the game is not that strong. We can't fund the Navy and the Army at the same time. So I have a little special plan on how we're going to make some more money. Taking a look around the world, I noticed that the most powerful nations like Britain and France and Spain and Portugal, they have colonies. So why shouldn't Belgium have colonies? I think Belgium deserves colonies, and where better place to start than Haiti? Belgium has a great claim to Haiti, right? In other news, the Treaty of London happened, which means that everybody can beat me up, or I have to release Luxembourg to the GPs. So at this point, I think it's better to release Luxembourg because I can't fight all the powers that would come after me if I didn't. That makes me a little weaker, but it's not that big of a deal. Now I need to try and become great power. The easiest way to do this is probably by my factories, because my industrial score kind of banging even at the beginning of the game. So what I'm going to do is try and prestige stack as well, and hopefully we'll get great power by passing Spain. Unfortunately, the acquisition of Cuba did not help the economy out as much as I would have liked, so we are going to start taking some colonies in Africa and hoping that they can save the economy. And would you look at that? Colonialism made the economy worse. I can't believe it. Who could have ever thought of this? Maybe mercantilism isn't a good economic strategy. For the sake of prestige and becoming a great power, I'm going to select civilizing mission as our colonial policy because it gives the most prestige, and really, that's all I care about right now. And there we go. It took 9 years, but we have been declared a great power at this point. I guess that's kind of just what colonialism does. No, actually, colonialism sucks. It broke my economy. But now I get to nationalize the industry, which gives me prestige and more money. And I get to start thinking about what my actual plans for this game are. This is the one vanilla event that I remember existing for Belgium, and it's the saxophone being invented. I like how that's the most important piece of Belgian history they could find. You're kidding me. We discovered a new flower and it gave us 12 prestige, but when we discovered the saxophone, it only gave us 2 prestige? I don't care about your stupid problems or flowers. The saxophone was the single greatest thing that we have invented this entire game. And if Victoria 2 wants to say otherwise, the devs can, leave the video. Europe resembles a big stalemate, so I'm just continuing to take more land in Africa. It'll eventually pay off. I'll be able to organize this into the Nigeria colony, which is worth actual money. But right now, we just produce a bunch of, livestock that's pretty worthless. I'm not sure if this is a thing for every country in this mod, but this mod wants to give me basically a bunch of economic buffs that just make my economy busted for no reason at all. So I'll take it. I would like a national bank that gives me a ton of buffs. Why not? I honestly wish there were more events like this that just add some flavor to the game, like Renovate Brussels. Why is it in the game? I don't know, but it's fun to click the button, and it's fun to get your population increasing the slightest bit in Brussels. So I like those events. Okay, Prussia, I see you taking a big chunk of Poland. Poor Russia. Russia's just not in a good position this game, honestly. Austria hitting the esports play, annexing Serbia prior to the part where they assassinate a certain Franz Ferdinand. That's a pro move, Austria. This game, Britain and Russia are cut from the same cloth, both being destroyed by rebels. Although Russia's been put down to 28th place, and Britain has still managed to hold first place. Although that might change. I think London is sieged down. The UK just fell from first great power. The Libs were put in charge, and that resulted in the loss of all their prestige. That's hilarious. It appears that the Congress Poland uprising has occurred in Prussia because Prussia took Warsaw from the Russians. This is certainly different, that's for sure. The Prussians are actually in big trouble here because the Polish declared war at the same time as the Austrians in the Austro-Prussian Brothers' War, which means that Prussia might get beaten up really good here. Seeing how badly Prussia's getting beaten here, I'm going to join the war on the Polish side and go after the Prussians because I'm not really seeing a better opportunity than this one to get at them. So we won. We beat the Prussians. They pieced out with the Polish. So now I have a powerful ally in Eastern Europe that will help me contest the Prussians in the future. Very cool. Meanwhile, I'm making sure that the verse in We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel still exists. Belgians in the Congo. Because currently, the Belgians are invading the Congo. No, oh my gosh. The Austrians have done an absolute number on the Prussians. The Austrians have created the South German Confederation. They've created Prussia, and they've released all of these states. That is the most disgusting looking Prussia I've ever seen, and they're gonna drop from GP. In a crazy turn of events, the Confederates beat the United States in the Civil War, so the US lost all their prestige. I feel like this happens in a lot of my Victoria 2 games. It's just kind of a common occurrence. I actually am enjoying playing Belgium. It's kind of peaceful. You get to sit and watch the rest of the world eat itself for breakfast. You get to colonize random stuff and take way too much infamy for Luango. And you just get to bully the French by taking land that probably should be theirs. It's a lot of fun. Austria has to be so powerful right now. They have cores on all of this South German stuff above Vienna that they took off the Germans. So they have like so many core pops and so many pops period. They will soon be number one great power, I think. Poor Americans are getting less immigrants than the Confederates are. The last total failure in Dutch diplomacy has told me that they are worth more to me annexed than they are as an ally. So unfortunately, this ends the partnership with myself and the Dutch because I'm just going to take their states instead. The Dutch apparently have invited the Spanish to invade my country, but the Spanish are behind like 8 miltechs, so they are just getting annihilated. Even though the Dutch called the Spanish and they kept invading me with a ton of troops, I still beat them. And now I get to acquire Zeeland, which makes a bulbous Belgium here with several more states that I will use to my advantage because a lot of them, or at least some of them, are Flemish. So this is very cool. And I'm kind of exploiting here because I put them back in my spear as soon as I finish the war. So the goal here is to keep them in my spear and keep everybody else uninterested. And then whenever I want to take more land, I can just declare war on them by immediately kicking them for my spear and then declaring war. It's kind of gamey, and I hope it's fixed when Victoria 3 comes out. But I like it. It makes me very wealthy indeed. My truce with the Netherlands has expired, so that means remove from spear and immediately justify war to conquer another state. This war unironically took like 5 years because I have no way of getting to the Spanish when I get blockaded. So basically the result of this is I get Friesland But the French violated me in the colonies, and now I have some very disgusting pockets of land, but everything else is just being painted blue. Even the British aren't getting any good stuff. So this is really not ideal for me. The colonies, like, even France got more land there. The colonial game has gone to pot. But hey, at least I got a tiny piece of territory that I can't even access because I'm gonna get blockaded. Sweden requests the Congo. You're joking. I have to give up the Congo. Okay, I'm not sure what that event did, but I still have the Congo. So I just got punked by the Congo conference because now I have to give up all these states that I worked to get to the Swedes. I'm livid. How did I not get the Congo? I'm playing Belgium. Hey Mom, can we get Kingdom of Italy? No, we have Kingdom of Italy at home. Kingdom of Italy at home. Why is it orange? I swear, the AI is out to get me, because now the Netherlands are in the French sphere, so I can't take any more land off of them. This game needs to be thrown in the trash. Looks like the great communist French experience is about to end, because that's a lot of Jacobins sieging down the entire country. Hopefully they'll get weaker, but honestly, they might only grow from this, so I hate the French. There's a crisis between the Russians and the United Kingdom, and I'm gonna join it because I kind of have to. Let me see what I can do here. I'd like to join the side opposite the French, but it doesn't look like the French are involved yet. So I'll probably join the UK because they're my friend. Well, the war went to a crisis, and now I'm sitting here watching the British Navy lose to the Portuguese Navy. What kind of a world are we living in? A world where I don't want to be allied with the British, that's for sure. So I'm looking through my decisions and I find this plan. And basically what I'm reading this is that it will create a bunch of cores for Israel in southern Patagonia here. So if I click the event, Israel gets cores on Patagonia. Why this is in the game, I'm not sure, but it's really odd, and I really hope that Argentina releases Israel. Well, the North German Confederation is finally formed, and I just have to say, better late than never, North German Confederation. It's kind of disgusting, and it's kind of small, but maybe it'll attack the Austrians and end their crazy power. So the Austrians are curb stomping the French. Therefore, I'm going to declare war on the French ally, the Dutch, at this point, to take their capital off of them. Then I'm going to use the weak French situation in order to take a bunch of land and win the war. Let's go. Basically, if you don't know how war exhaustion works, war exhaustion is given to countries when they're occupied. That decreases the amount of money they can tax from their population. If that number goes too low, they can't feed their troops and the entire army shuts down, so they're forced to lose the war. France starts at 99% war exhaustion during this war because the Austrians occupied them in the previous war they were fighting prior to my attack, which will make the French significantly weaker, and I should be able to win this. The problem, though, is that the Spanish and the Danish are not affected by this war exhaustion because they weren't in the previous war, so they are giving me a bit of a hard time here. I can't keep progressing into the French territory because every time I do, ridiculous amounts of French communists rise up and make it so all my units die. So unfortunately, the French might actually come out on top here because they just have way too many communists and I can't kill them all. I've decided to withdraw all my troops at least until the revolution ends because there's a lot of communists there. They're going to topple the capital at some point. And after that, I'll send all the boys back in and we will finish the war out strong. Oh, there it is. The French have become communist again, the return of the commies, and now I can just walk into Paris myself and make them capitulate. And there it is, the French have finally capitulated, and we have this incredibly cursed Belgium. The French just about killed themselves fighting that war right there. They are in such bad shape now, but I don't even know why they fought so hard. They could have just given up the Netherlands at any point. But now I am the only country in the Benelux except for Luxembourg, which I will take later. Yikes, the death of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria has died, just like all my brain cells after I agreed to do this really, really painful series. Ugh. France just cannot figure out their problems. It's like a switch that goes back and forth all the time. Communist, not communist. Communist, not communist. Poor France. They should be able to stop revolutions better. They've had so many years of experience with that. I feel like the Netherlands at this point should be changing their name to Indonesia, because this is all the land they own, basically. They don't even own anything in Europe anymore. It's just Belgium. I feel like Luxembourg is the last piece of my territory that I deserve back. And since the French are still somewhat war exhausted, this war could go in my favor, or it could not, and I might get curb stomped. The French haven't joined the war yet, and I'm sieging down Luxembourg. If the siege finishes before the French join the war, I snipe Luxembourg without actually having to fight anybody of substance. And there it is, we've sniped Luxembourg. The French did not join the war, and we just got free real estate right there. That is truly amazing. And with that, we can do what I finally wanted to do, which is reunite with the Dutch, which basically gives me infamy, which sucks. But it allows me to have more territory here. All this stuff will get cored by me. So if I click the button, reunite with the Dutch, I get this pink color where I am Belgium-Netherlands, and all this stuff is my core now. I also get a conquest war goal on the Dutch, which I only have about 3 years to use. So I'll have to build up a navy and go down there and clean up the Dutch mess and add it to Belgium-Netherlands, the superior country. So basically, I'm going to be fighting a war against France in the north that I will need to mobilize to fight. And I will also be fighting a war over here in the Dutch East Indies, trying to get them to capitulate so I can annex them. Luckily for me, I have gas attack, and I'm not thinking that the French have gas attack, because that was a pretty pathetic performance by the French military. So if they don't have gas attack, this will be an absolute slaughter and a half. If they do, Austria, maybe you can come in clutch. All right, the war ended, and I got exactly what I wanted. I got this northern piece of France, and I took all of the Netherlands stuff. So I own the Dutch East Indies, I own this random part of Ghana, I own Suriname, and yeah, that has made me much stronger. I am the rightful ruler of the Dutch territories. I pushed all the way into Spain during this offensive. It was pretty good, and the only place France really did good was down here, of course, in the colonies, where they own everything. There's a fun event that says, Artois is ours, which this area has been part of our rightful historical realm. This should reflect on the world's maps. So I guess we don't get cores, sadly, but we do get to rename all these areas to a more Belgian name. The Dutch East Indies are so good economically. My money is just skyrocketing at this point. Honestly, if I wasn't socialist, I would not have to tax any of my population, because there's just so much good stuff over here. So I own in Indonesia the 3 biggest sulfur provinces in the entire world. There's really no other sulfur anywhere at all. But somehow I'm still importing 1,700 sulfur. How is there sulfur? Where am I importing it from? Germany, against all odds here, is clawing back to life. They took Munich. They haven't taken Ruttenburg or Baden, but they took Bohemia, and they took the Sudetenland. And they are just growing at a disgusting and also kind of rapid rate. France finally got Alsace-Lorraine back. That means they might be coming for their other core next. I wish that women's suffrage allowed you to put more women in the factories. Because right now it gives you some juicy buffs, but I feel like technically your manpower pool should double when you do that. So, Victoria 3 devs, if you're watching this, please make women's suffrage more strong, because it's very important. Wouldn't be late game Victoria 2 without getting called into war against the Austrians, against the Albanians in the Second Greek Liberation of Albania. What kind of a war is this? Every morning, the people who live in Liège and Luxembourg and Limburg, they all wake up and they smell the smoke of 400 points worth of industrial score that is produced in the Rhineland. And their lungs are dying so the Rhineland can grow rich. So now I'm going to take the Rhineland and their lungs can die so we can grow rich. Long live Belgium-Netherlands. And with this peace deal, the Austrian business is over, and I don't even know what the borders changed, but yeah, I'm just glad that stupid war is over. Now, that last war significantly emptied my coffers, but I can always just declare war on China and get them to end the Boxer rebels, which will give me a bunch of money to solve the debt crisis. Who needs to solve your own problems when you can just declare war on somebody else and do it that way? It's always fun to go to war with China because you just eat through their divisions, and now they're willing to end the war, which means that I've won the war and I get a huge sum of money every month from China, which means I can further lower my taxes. Well, the French have declared war on me in order to liberate this northern portion of France that has Calais that I took earlier in the game. Hopefully we'll be able to defeat the French here, but to be completely honest with you, they've researched all the military techs now, so we kind of get curb stomped in a one-on-one battle. We do have the British, but they do nothing except for sit on their stinky island, right? So, yeah, they're not going to be much of a help. The Italians are an unstoppable machine of revenge against the French here, because for no apparent reason, they have just demolished them. The Italians are so strong, so poor France just gets defeated at every turn. Honestly, unlucky for them. The people in my country are very socialist. Like, there's just a ridiculous amount of socialist people here. So I've managed to create the world's first welfare state because we have good pensions, we have good health care, we have good school. Yeah, things are actually looking pretty good here. The only other thing I'd like to do is increase subsidies some more, but the safety regulations and max work hours hurt your economy so badly that I can't bother passing them. Of course, don't tell anybody that the way we're paying for the welfare state is more of a over here concept, you know, colonies, yeah, colonies, sulfur. I swear, sulfur buys everybody in this country free healthcare. In a strange turn of events, I'm at war with the Russians because I decided to defend the Greeks, who have now peaced out with the Russians, against the Bulgarians. So the war is like over, except me and the UK are still at war with the Russians. I don't exactly know how this situation has happened. I'm very confused, but I'm gonna drive my boats to St. Petersburg and try and beat the Russians. And somehow this has become the Great War, the first Great War in 1931, and it kind of looks like that. Yeah, not really so great if you ask me, but hopefully we'll be able to beat them. I personally have to deal with the Rhineland here. Why, I'm not sure. Everything is confusing. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed my GFM playthrough. The game runs slow as molasses, but it's not that bad because you can do cool things like build the channel, which that's a lot of money, but hey, at least then we'd have a way to go to Britain pretty easily. I wonder what year the channel was actually built, because I don't think it was built in 1933. It must have had to have been later. Odd. So it is now 1936. I did not manage to cap the Russians, but that's fine. We carved out a piece of Europe. I am guilty of bad infamy stacking and just overall mobilizing too many times, so my pops were not big enough to run a positive industrial score. I messed up this game a fair bit. We got some disgusting colonies, but I wasn't quick on the colonization because I was at war with somebody in 1880, which is never a good play. Yeah, not my best game, but I had a lot of fun. Belgium is actually a good country to play, especially in GFM, when you get all these cores up here. We did get second great power. The world actually looks pretty typical, except the Russians are not communist, and the Italians have a weird flag. But besides for that, North Germany, they still have the spicy and unpleasant ideology. We're in second place behind the US, who we almost caught somehow, despite their killer industrial score. So yeah, that would be it for this episode. The world kind of looks like this. Yeah. We did manage to, if we look at the ledger, reform ourselves into something of a welfare state. We're at the top here. We have acceptable minimum wage, a bunch of some safety regulations, subsidies, pensions, healthcare, school system, incarceration, and child labor illegal, which is way better than some of these other countries. And yeah, that's the Belgium video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe as always. Next, I think we're going to Chile, but I haven't been paying attention to the list that closely. Chile is not going to be fun. Stay tuned. And the Japanese didn't westernize. Why?